Hope everyone's having a good day today. I'm going to do a quick video on how to replace your C5 Corvette window regulator and motor system. Now this is a simple and pretty straightforward job. A couple different things that you're going to need to pull it off. First thing is door pry. I do wrap mine in electrical tape, and that's just to go ahead and prevent any marring. You can use a flathead if you need to. A flathead will work, but you just have to be careful not to screw anything up. Next, you'll need a ratcheting wrench. I use an electric one. You can use a standard one if you need to. If you use an electric one, just be careful not to crack any of the panels. Dikes for cutting any zip ties and any general dike needs. Torx bit. This job is a T30. If you need to, you can use a T27. But you have to be careful not to strip anything. Extension, just to be comfy. Adapter for the sockets. Regular sockets needed, 4mm, 10mm, 12mm. Pretty simple, straightforward, easy process. Hey guys, so I wanted to go ahead and go over the motor system itself. I got this from Everyday Auto Parts on eBay. It was $70 for the set, maybe $75. And then that was shipped to my door. Not bad at all, considering a GM set's about $300 for both sides. So that was around $35 a piece or so. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of over the specs of it itself. It's all in line with manufacturer. And I already have the driver's side one inside my vehicle. The driver's side one has been working well. I've had it in there for about a week or two. No issues at all, rolling up and down fine. Alignment went fine, and now that I understand the process, I followed a couple guides. I want to make a more thorough guide on how to do this. The main part is going to be just mainly adjusting these pieces here. This is what's going to be using the 4mm bolt, this is the 4mm bolt that you're going to be using your 4mm socket on. This is the other one. These hold the glass in, and that way you can adjust the angle of the glass, the way it sits in there, so you can go ahead and have a nice seal. As well as you're going to want to move the glass back and forth in between the slides to make sure you line it up properly, as well as adjust this nut to where the factory one is in the car, so you go ahead and get a good alignment. Alright, so first thing you want to do is there may be a little cap piece right here. You're going to want to pop that out. You can just use a little screwdriver to pop it out. If your C5 is already missing it, that's because someone popped it out and broke it, just like every other C5, so no need to be alarmed. Now that you got that done, you just got to pop out some interior pieces. First one's going to be this whole bezel here. And the second one's going to be the window up and down and door locks. I saw someone try to say you need to remove this. You don't have to. This sticks with the door. Don't worry about it. You do have to be a little careful with these just because they're plastic and they will break. Mine, as you can see, is already broken there from me. So you can glue these back together if you want. Honestly, I'm going to buy replacement ones for mine and then do LED bulbs. May do a video on that. Pretty simple process though. So we're going to go ahead and go pull the clip on this. And then we can remove this completely, as well as we're going to pop this out. So a little tip when popping the bezel out. It's held in by these two clips right here, these two clips right here, and only one on this side. So the easiest way to remove it when it's clipped in is when it's clipped in like this. Anyway, you're going to want to pop out right at the middle point, which is going to be right here on the bezel. So if you stick your pry right in there, you'll be in the perfect middle point and you can pop them out. If you really want to, you can go one by one, but I was just able to stick it in the middle and she came right out. There's a joke there, but I'll let you figure that one. So if you guys can see that right there, that crack could be a lot worse, but I have it zip tied right now. But basically this split from the base when I was pulling it out, and it is 20-year-old GM plastic. So with that said, my plan is to take that little crack, fill it full of epoxy, well not fill it, but put some epoxy on it, I'm gonna zip tie close to hold some pressure on it. And then I'm gonna let this dry while I go ahead and finish the rest of the process. Let's go ahead and remove all these side clips and all the bottom clips and get the door mostly free. And then once you have the door free, you're gonna grab on the panel and you're gonna wanna pull up. Now when you pull up on the panel, these kind of paper clips here that hold it onto the fiberglass piece, we'll go ahead and remove, and you can just pull the door panel off. Once you pull out a little bit to get it around here, you should just be able to pull the door panel off, and we can move on to the next step. To the stuff you gotta remove. To go ahead and get started on this party, you're gonna wanna remove a couple different things here. First thing is, it's going to be, I wanna say it's this one, let me double check. Oh yeah, this has definitely been taken apart before. These rubbers are ripped to shit. So you see that bolt that's hiding dark in there? That's gonna be the first bolt for the window clamps that hold the glass into the window itself. That piece I showed you. So you're gonna wanna unbutton this one. It's gonna be the second one from the end. And it's a little rubber piece you just pull back so you gain access to the panel beneath it. Then the next one you're gonna wanna pull is gonna be this one here. This is where you're actually gonna pull the window out of. So you can just remove it completely. It does re-stick back on there pretty easily as long as yours hasn't been used to crap. If it has been used to crap, you may have to get more of this black adhesive from AutoZone, and then you can just re-adhere it to the panel. Same with this. If you really want to, you can kind of patch it back together and throw a little bit of black gasket all around the edges like you would on this. And just put a tiny bit, don't put too much, and then that will help you re-glue that if this lost its stickiness. After you got those removed, you're gonna wanna remove a couple more things that are holding in the window regulator itself, or window tracks and motor. It's gonna be this nut right here, this nut right here, those are your two top nuts. And then you have one lower nut right here. And then you have a nut behind the speaker that slides into place. You also have three more nuts holding on the motor right here, and right here. These are all 10mm nuts. And then you also have the ones on the speaker, which I believe are going to be 10mm as well. Let me double check. Oh no, those are way smaller. So these may be 7s or 8s. I'll go ahead and get you the size on that. So I was correct, the speaker nuts are going to be 7. I'll go ahead and add those into the beginning of the guide in text form. I forgot, that was the one last size you'll need is a 7mm. This one, you have this one, you have this one, you have this one, you have this one, and you have this one. This one's empty on all C5s. I believe they use these speakers in another model, so if you see that's empty, don't worry about it. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and unclip the speaker, remove all the bolts, pull the speaker out, and go ahead and get started on to the next step. Loosen, this bolt, and loosen this bolt. These are the 12mm bolts, and once you loosen them, you don't have to loosen them too much at all. You just loosen them a little bit, enough to get the glass loose. After all, it is glass pinched in there, so if it is pinched too tight, it will break. So it's not going to be in there so tight. So when you're removing this, make note of how tight they are when you go to loosen it. Because when you make note of that, you'll know how much to tighten it back onto the glass without breaking the glass and still getting a secure seal. Another thing to make note of when you're pulling these out is that the stock GM ones are actually 13mm, but the replacement ones are 12mm, the Chinese remakes. So now after you loosen the two 13mm original GM bolts, your window should be decently loose. You should be able to gently lift it on both ends, confirming it's going to come out easily. Now see, this end is a little too tight for me. So what I'm going to reach in there to do real fast, just go ahead and line this up and twist it a little bit. So now, it should be more than loose enough. So with that said, we're gonna go ahead and lay down a nice blanket or towel for a place to set this down, and we're gonna go ahead and set it down. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take off the bolts I've already loosened. That's gonna be these 6. Ways. So go ahead and just finger it out. Whichever way is going to work best for you. There's really no guide on how to do this. There's no perfect way. There's no right way. Just kind of pull it out. And me sitting here trying to do it with one hand isn't making it any easier. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and put this down and pull the rest of this track out. This pink wire right here, it runs and plugs in. This is a plug into the motor. It's where the motor gets its power. We gotta unplug that as well so you can pull the motor the rest of the way out. All right, so this is my replacement one, and this is my GM one. Now I adjusted this screw by spinning it in and outward, and I eyeballed it to about the length of this one. And I just wanted to get those somewhat close enough to go ahead and when I put it in, just need minor adjustments. I don't want it to need any major adjustments once I go to put it in. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that to the tops as well. This is the GM one, and this is the factory one. So as you can see, there's a good amount of threads there. And not to close as many threads there. If you're doing this by hand, I do feel sorry for you, but with an electric ratchet, it's pretty simple. As you can see, very fastly. I'm just going to go ahead and launch it over to this one. I think I extended it a hair too far. Alright, so it's time to go ahead and start stuffing this window in there. There's no really right way and there's no wrong way to do it. Obviously, you're going to want to use the biggest hole and just try to line everything up the best you can. Sometimes I'll hold it on the outside here and line up how it's supposed to be with all the bolt holes just to confirm I have it lined up correctly before I put it in, just so you kind of know where everything goes. Now with that said, my tracks are already set to the top. If they weren't, that was fine. When you plug it in, you can just plug in your controller real fast and bring it up if you need to. As of now, I'm going to go ahead and just start fucking with it and try and stuff it in there. Like I said, it's not hard, but it also is just a little mind-numbing. I'm just going to position that hole right here and drag it onto this nut with the rubber piece, and that's going to be the first thing I position after I position my motor. That's the easiest way I found it. You can kind of do it in any order you want, but basically you want to get that slipped over. You want to get this lined up, which is your top nut on the track, and then you want to go ahead and get your top and bottom nuts lined up on this side in whatever order you're most comfortable with. So next, you have to loosen these clamps here that we have on the inside of the door. Now to loosen these, it's just these bolts through here like I said. And when you loosen them, you're going to want to loosen them so you can get about your finger in there. You can get your finger in each of these. Oh, two at once, you never thought you'd be doing that. And once you can get your finger in both those, then it's okay to go ahead and put the glass in. So let's go ahead and get that lined up. I forgot to capture this on the other camera, but I did go ahead and get my window in, and then I barely secured it. I didn't get it too tight, but not too loose. I don't want my glass moving around too much on me because I don't want it to break. But I also got to start shutting the door and lining everything up. So this is really just a hit or miss process. You did your best to line everything up in the beginning. Now you got to go ahead and see how everything else lines up in the end. My impression is that I got this a little too far forward right now. So I'm going to slowly shut the door. And yeah, I can confirm I have it way too far forward. Way too far forward. So the next adjustment we're going to want to go ahead and do is align the window. As you can see at the top of the seam, kind of gets bigger. The gap gets bigger as it goes along towards the front. So what we need to do is just position the front of the window up a little bit more. And then I think we should be good to go. If you're having trouble seeing it on your own, a good way to tell is to just take a dollar bill. If you're having problems seeing the gap, you can close a dollar bill in there. And I like to kind of just slide it along to feel how much resistance I have throughout. And I feel the resistance getting a lot thinner as I go towards the front, or a lot less resistance as I go towards the front. So that also confirms I need to bring it up just a little bit more. You don't want any wind noise or annoying noise getting in there while you're driving down the road. So I'll show you how to make the minor adjustments to the window on the inside, and then we'll be good to go. See that bolt right there? I'm pointing it out to you, the small one, not the big one. This one right here. This, as it goes up and down, controls the window going up and down. So what you do is you take your small socket, I believe it's going to be a 4mm, and you're going to put it on the end of there, and you're just going to crank it up and down and align the window. Not too much either way, and just go ahead and align your window as needed. This side has one as well. You can see it with the green cap towards the top. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one here. I'm going to crank the window up, and I'm going to use that dollar bill trick to go ahead and adjust it and make sure it's aligned well. A little bit of give, but not too much, so you know it's going to be watertight. And other than that, your window is now lined up and complete. So now that we got the door panel back in tight and you ran your wiring for your window switch, you're gonna want to go ahead and put back in all your trim pieces, your little screw cover if you have one. If not, don't worry about it. You're like the rest of the C5 owners. And just pop all your trim pieces back in place. They pop in very easily. Other than that, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at our window switch. On the side, there's no real creasing. No cracking, no splitting, which is good because that's the side you're always going to be looking at. Now let me angle this so I can get a good shot on it. Now this is the window repair itself. That's where that fat crack was. I went ahead and I filled it in all the way around so the crack is no longer showing. And then I put some on the outside just to add some structural integrity to the fix itself so you don't have to worry about it breaking again. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and slide this back in place, and it's like it never happened. Very solid. The plastic epoxy or plastic weld, whatever you want to call it, works really well. And then that will hold me off until I do my LED conversion. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and get this plugged in and sat back into place. Now for the big moment here. Let's go ahead and see if she... Oh, perfect. Yes. Seems to be working great. No problems. I hope you guys enjoyed the video on how to fix your C5 Corvette window regulator and motor system. Pretty simple fix all in all. Just go ahead and drop any questions below and let me know. I'd be happy to answer any of them. And if there's any tips or comments you have for me as well, more than welcome to put them down there and I'll go ahead and review them. Other than that, I hope this fix is as simple and easy for you as it was for me, and everybody have a great rest of their day.